Hello guys, so this is another video on Elacore. In the last video, we went through a very basic generic deployment of Elacore on Docker in a simulated environment where we were using the UE ransom for G-Node B and UE, and we validated the whole end-to-end environment with a ping test. So this time we are taking things further and we are introducing a few more terms. Like this time we are using the OCUDU in terms of as a RAN, and we'll be using a real UE and a STR. So this is Elacore official documentation, and this time we'll be following this co-host with OCUDU guide. Okay, so we can quickly have a look on this topology diagram. So it's nothing fancy, just a simple VM. They're using Raspberry Pi because obviously Elacore does not require those fancy hardwares that can run on any, 2 gigs of memory and 2 cores are sufficient to run it. So this is any server or any infra that you are using, and this ETH0 is the main interface of that host server. And then we are using 2 wet pairs, and we are using this N3 namespace. In this N3 namespace, we are attaching this N3 RAN wet pair, and this N3 UPF wet pair is connected directly to the host interface. To just make things simple, it's just like we are connecting the UPF, which is obviously a part of the Elacore, which is deployed on the host, to an N3 namespace, which is a different namespace like a VM, small VM inside that Linux host where the RAN is deployed. So, and we are connecting this with any SDR or radio. In our case, we'll be using USRP210. And yeah, this time we are hosting Elacore with the software OCUDU, which previously was known as SRS-RAN 5G. So, moving on to some prerequisites. Very simple. You just need a host with a network interface, and you need a compatible SDR, right? And we are also using 1224.04, which is LTS version. So there are some tips if you want to increase the or optimize the performance of OCUDU. You can follow these steps. Now moving further on to the installation part. So we just simply need to install Elacore and OCUDU from the official documentation. Let's do it step by step. So firstly, let's install Elacore. This time we are using the Snap version, which is directly deployed on the host system as a service. So let's do that. Okay, before that, the machine I'm using is Nuke, similar to like a Raspberry Pi, but an enhanced version of that. And I'm using Ubuntu 24.04 already mentioned. And yeah, that's pretty much it about the hardware. So let's move to the installation of Elacore. Okay, and let's connect it. All right. So yeah, this is as simple as like this is the whole installation part. Now we can go back, and now it's time to install OCUDU. Okay. In order to proceed, we just simply need to install a bunch of prerequisites here. Just copy it and paste it. In my case, most of the things are already installed. So now, yeah, the OCUDU requires one of the following libraries for FFT calculation. So this FFT is like the fast Fourier transform calculations. These are basically used to efficiently compute the DFT. So overall, if we try to understand in simple terms, it's like it's used for transforming a signal from the time domain to the frequency domain and so on. So we can install this simply, and that's it. These are some alternatives. You need not to install every single one of them. And one thing you need to do is you need to install the UHD drivers if you are doing the deployment with any SDR or radio. So yeah, now we can clone and build it. So let's clone it. In my case, already cloned it, so I can simply go to OCUDU, and you can simply build it inside the build. You can also do this, but for the sake of tutorial, I'm just skipping this part. It will take some time. Yeah, that's it. OCUDU is already installed now. And just remember this location. This is the location where our binary of the G-Node B is located. So we'll be using this to run the G-Node B. And now we can go back. Okay, this part is done. Now we can create the network namespace for all those linking between the UPF, which is on the host, and the RAN, which will be a part of the Linux network namespace. So here we are not doing anything different. It's very, in very simple terms, it's like we're just creating a namespace N3NS, and we are linking making 2 wet pairs, the N3 UPF and N3 RAN, and we are just linking them, and we are setting this N3 RAN wet pair as a part of N3NS namespace, and assigning some IPs. That's pretty much it. So let's do it. Okay, for all of these, I need some sudo permission, so it's better to go in sudo mode. And I can do it now quickly. That's it. N3 to IPA. I can see the N3 UPF web pair with assigned IP. So pretty simple, yeah. Now let's configure our Elacore in order to use the RAN interfaces and establish the connection successfully. We just simply need to update these things, and okay, its location to update the config file was here. Yeah, this one. Okay, we need to replace the address with the name. The N2 interface. Same for N3. and for N6 we'll be using the name of the host interface. Let's quickly check that over here. If I check it, it's yeah. Open it again. It's good now. Okay. Yeah. And here we have the HTTP attach mode. You can either use the generic or the native one. But for the native one, you need to make sure that your network interface card supports the native mode. For the sake of simplicity, I'm doing it generic. Right. Yeah, they also mentioned it here that they're using generic mode because Raspberry Pi 5 does not support native HTTP. So you need to make sure that you support that, otherwise it will read some errors. Okay, so now we can start Elacor. Great. Okay, now you can see these logs. So started and initialized, and you can see the ncat server is started listening at this one. All right, now let's move further, and before configuring the OCUDU part, let's have a look on the dashboard. What's the status of dashboard now? So let's quickly move to dashboard. Okay, now here we have the dashboard. I see there are steps missing for the dashboard, but let's check. I mean, login steps can be found here, pretty sure I did it in the last video. So just copy these credentials, and you can obviously use anything to create a user, because this just created a user. I can use anything else to create another user as well. Okay, so this is the dashboard. We have no radios, no subscribers. It's empty. Now we need to do something to, we need to add subscribers in order to make the order connection. So, okay, we have operator, MCC, MNC, and we have DNN already created. What else we have? We have the policies, and yeah, subscriber is missing, so we can create one. I'm using this MC. Okay, now subscriber is also created. We can also create one more. Okay, so we have created 2 subscribers. So we'll be connecting to one just in order to make a difference, how one will look like without any connection, and how the other one will, what will be the difference in both of them in terms of registration and IP address. And that's it, I guess. We need not to modify anything. Now we can move back to the documentation part. Now, yeah, let's configure our OCUDU as well. And yeah, we need to tell it which network namespace to use. So let's do it. Okay, yeah, I have my config file here. I already configured it according to my needs. So there are a few things that you need to make sure, like the AMF address. You need to make sure it's referring to the same one which is running on the Elacor. And this is the bind address, which is like the address of the N3NS namespace where we have created those web pairs and assigned those IPs. Then the PLMN, SSTSD, and the tag, you need to make sure these are also in sync with the one you created on the dashboard. And make sure to select UHT, and when device arg, we are using B200. And that's it. The rest of the things we need not to modify. So let's make sure we're not missing anything. These 2 things. Yeah, this is a like bind address again, CVUP, if you have that in your config file. And now we can run the OCUDU and then N3NS namespace. For that, let me quickly clear. And now let's play some logs on the right hand side. Okay, now let's check out if we have some USRP connected or not. And as you can see, my B210 is connected. It's not mine, it's like the name is my B210. And now we can run it in the N3NS namespace using the same config. And let's make some space for GNODB to have a better view on the logs. And let's run the GNODB now. And now you can see the OCUDU GNODB is started, and you can see the logs and on both the sides. On the Elacor, you can see these logs where you can see the CTP connection and the addresses in the whole NGIP message and everything. And now let's make some space for UE as well to differentiate the logs. So here I'm running this script to initialize the Quectel. Basically, we are performing the turn on and off operation. And now you can see all these logs in the terminal that it shows all the routes and default route and the commands that we have used and the IP that is obtained to the UE. And also now these are the logs of the UE. To wrap it up, yeah, that's it. So here you can see all these initial UE messages, down link nest transport, uplink nest transport, and all these suki information. And yeah, these are the logs of Elacore when the UE is connected. Now let's quickly check if there is any IP assigned to the interface of Quectel or not. So you can see this WWANO interface and IP is also assigned to it. Now let's quickly move to the dashboard part to look things in more detail. So here we have the dashboard again, and you can see in the events all these messages. For example, if you go to PG session resource setup response and request, you can see all these details. Similarly, for uplink and downlink nest transport, you can see in other messages as well. And the radio is also connected, as you can see in the subscribers. It shows registered to the IMC, which is registered now to the UE. And IP is also allocated to it. And yeah, a few more details on the dashboard. This is the IMC that is being used now, and these are some system details. Basically, the memory allocated and being used on your server. And yeah, the APN information, we're using the internet APN, and these are some interfaces that we already created for the control plane and the user plane. You can see the N3 PF pair here, yeah. And here we have some policies created by default, and subscribers obviously created them. And this is some traffic graph for uplink and downlink. Now let's try to deregister every single component one by one. Let's open the logs again. And let's deregister our UE first. Okay, then UE is deregistered now. You can see these logs. And you can see the UE context release complete. And now let's deregister G0P as well. And you can see the G0P is also deregistered. Now let's move back to dashboard to see if everything is in sync with dashboard or not. So you can see now the radio number of radios and active sessions are 0 because obviously we have deregistered everything. And yeah, we can see some recent events like the UE context release is complete and all these messages. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much about the tutorial, and see you in the next one.